coming and going like I want to.
Some people were not happy with me for some reason. This guy who said
They got me hooked up to a machine.
He's a huge crybaby.
What?
Got me hooked up to a machine. Got me hooked up to a machine.
What's wrong with you? Short-winded?
No. It's not a heart machine. It's not a blood pressure machine. It's a womb machine. It's a womb vac.
Government buildings do, they would be shut down. And one of our regular
It's a womb vac.
watches the show, just goes
What's
on
it
social
supposed to
media.
do?
It's supposed to help keep the fluids and stuff
You're right,
out of the womb. That way the womb will heal up.
Sole owner of
Hmm.
3 companies, on the board of
Wow.
countless others, and the board of a private equity firm. What do I know? Yeah, nothing. All right. So in response to my comments the other day that
See, I got operated on.
flooding the voter rolls with illegals, I brought
But,
receipts.
I don't know.
I said, who is this?
That's about 8 weeks. I think I come in here and talked to you whenever I got operated on that second time. They done a washout. Well, come to find out, it ain't no better now what it was whenever they done a washout.
Hmm.
So, apparently I've got something going on that they're not recognizing, and this is just torturing me, man. This makes now my 9th month, and I should have done already been on my feet, up and going, and blowing and stacking and packing. But instead, I've been having to go to the womb center every week, and have a nurse come out and attend to me every week, twice a week now, charging me $250 every time I walk in the door, and I didn't even know it.
Wow.
Because they scheduled me in with the wrong people that wasn't in the same network.
Hmm.
It's got to where this insurance stuff, man, it ain't nothing but a nightmare.
Oh, you got Medicare?
No, I've got WillCare HMO. And it's not a predominant insurance in this
Well, I
area.
got WellCare too, but that's a supplement insurance.
No, mine's my primary insurance.
Huh.
WillCare,
Oh, WellCare, man.
WillCare HMO.
No, mine's WellCare, Well, W-L.
Okay. I'm just wondering how come they didn't resort to this in the beginning towards putting me on this machine, if this machine's supposed to be all of that. But according to everybody that I talked to, if you violate protocol, these doctors, the insurance companies don't want to pay them nothing.
Hmm.
In other words, the insurance companies dictate and dominate to the doctor towards what they're going to pay for, what they're not going to pay for, and if they don't go through certain steps, then that nullifies the agreement with the doctor and the insurance company.
That's what they've done for years.
Huh? Yeah, they've been doing it for years.
They ain't done no body and fender work, same thing.
I know.
They told you how much to charge to
I know.
put a door on, or a fender on, or a bumper.
I know. But it's kind of funny to me that a judge don't hold dominance over a doctor in case that doctor is called for jury duty. All that doctor's got to do is walk in that courtroom and say, Your Honor, I'm an active doctor and my usage is critical. And the judge will look at him and say, well, you go on down the road then, you do your job. How come a judge can't dictate to a doctor, but the insurance companies can? When did the insurance companies become more knowledgeable of people's health than what the doctors are?
They ain't the more knowledge, they just want to save money.
Well, that's evil.
Yeah.
That's evil.
I've been evil for years.
How come our government that's supposed to be so big and wealthy and rich,
That's the problem. You said right then, it's so big, it's too big.
how come we don't have universal health care insurance just like Canada and France and England and all them other countries over there? I mean, how come anybody that gets sick, all you gotta do is basically go into a clinic or a hospital and they'll take care of you? How come we don't have the same kind of setup over here?
Well, different.
Think it's got something to do with greed?
Insurance is controlling everything.
Think it's got something to do with greed?
They tell everybody what to do. If you got insurance, they only pay so much for so much, so whatever they do, that's it.
Somebody told me, I think it was my son, you see that guy right there on TV?
Yeah,
My son said that 2 weeks from now, there's liable to be a third of the nation rise up because they're going to try to prosecute that guy in court again. They're going to try to put him in jail.
they ain't gonna put him in jail.
I don't know what's going on with all that. How come they want to keep doing that?
Wow, they're scared of him. That guy's wanting to give out all them politicians terms up there like a president, and they don't like it.
In other words, they're afraid he's going to upset the apple cart.
Yeah, well, he's upsetting them bad.
Well, wasn't that the same principle of Kennedy? The reason why Kennedy got assassinated was because he was basically going in there and ruling the way that he thought that should have been ruled, and they didn't like it, and because of it, hell, they was attacking him, wasn't they?
Well, they tried to kill him too. They ain't done yet. That man's a businessman. We ain't never had a president that's a businessman.
Exactly.
He's a businessman.
Exactly.
He knows how to run something, and they don't like it.
You know, they claim that there's 40 million illegal immigrants over here,
Well, yeah,
Uncle Bill.
there was thousands of them come across the border.
40 million. There ain't but 1.5 million people in Memphis. That's hard for me to wrap my mind around in the whole country of 40 million people. Do you realize what it would cost to round up all these illegals and then house them and then feed them and then take care of them and then ship them out of here? Do you realize how much money that would cost?
Oh my.
Wear and tear on automobiles. I mean, those people ain't gonna go down there at these places and work for nothing, are they?
Well, they're giving all them dudes coming across over $5,000, giving them a place to sleep and eat and everything.
But yet none of our people would do without. So I don't understand that neither, do you? Are we dealing with a completely different group of people in the White House that really ain't for the American people? Is that what the deal is?
We got a communist in there right now.
You know, every time I come in here, I look at you and I say, well, it can't get no more, it can't get no worse, Uncle Bill, it can't get no worse. And then I'll be darned if it don't get worse.
Yeah, it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
They said on the news, they done had 40-something shootings, incidences in schools alone this year alone.
Yeah.
Of course, it don't get the headlines until you kill at least 4 or 5, maybe 10, 12, 15 people. Then it automatically goes to the headlines.
Yeah.
So it's got to the point that we have become desensitized whenever it comes to just 1 or 2 people being stabbed or 1 or 2 people being killed. We've become desensitized to the point that, oh, that ain't enough people that got killed. We can't put them on national news. What's happened to us? What's going on? Are we being taken over? Have we already been taken over? Have they given the farm away or what?
Well, some people said China was gonna take us over.
And that guy right there that's done all them killings in Ukraine, Putin, as far as I'm concerned, they ought to not even give that guy the time of day towards even putting his face on national TV.
Biden was the cause of that war over
He was.
there. Yeah. See, when Trump was in there, Putin wanted a certain part of their land. He wanted some more land or something, and they agreed to have it. They give it to him.
Okay.
And when Biden got in there, he didn't like it, and he wanted Putin to get out of there and out of there. And he caused the war.
And it provoked them.
He caused it.
It provoked them. And that's whenever Putin started saying the reason why that he was doing what they was doing was because they felt like that they'd been cheated.
Yeah.
And in a way, they have been cheated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because and it wasn't just them that got cheated, but the whole world got cheated because of this rebellion movement that began 30-something years ago. We should already, Uncle Bill, be in heaven. We and you should have already been transfigurated from mortal to immortal, and we should be right now in the holy gates of heaven right now. Did you know that?
Yeah.
But the second coming has been delayed. The second coming has been delayed. God ain't going to come back for a wrinkled up, worthless, beat up, cut up, messed up church. According to the Bible, he's going to come back for a spotless church. Those who are waiting and watching and looking for his return. He ain't going to come back just for a handful. He's going to come back for the whole shooting match. But the movement got stifled in 1988 whenever 9 tapes went to the White House, and everybody thought that I was crazy because I decided to put the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in the back end of my truck and ride around and start passing out material. They thought I was a lunatic, or they wanted to put me in the category of somebody that was a lunatic. And you know that to be so, Uncle Bill. You can validate that, can't you? Or will you? I think you can. They didn't understand me. And the fact of the matter is, the preachers didn't want to preach to the people to teach them the understanding of the things that I was telling them about. And now, look at where the world has went 30-something years. We have gone in the very opposite of the direction towards peace and utopia. Did you know it? All the divorces, all the crime, all the drugs, all the indebtedness, all the suicides. Yesterday, I think they had another school shooting. It's endless. And to think that those people down there in Northwest Tennessee was going to try to blame me for all this. Hey, it's not my fault, Uncle Bill. All I can do is lead the horse to the water trough. I can't make him drink. I can't make him drink, but I tell you what's going on right now. They're regretting that they didn't. They're regretting that they didn't get him behind this movement that they should have got him behind 30 plus years ago pertaining to the 4 horsemen, because now it has flooded, it has inundated everything on social media, from Facebook to Twitter to YouTube, Angie's List, whatever is on there. It has had a flood of material just within the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years of the end times. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the war of Armageddon. See, people didn't understand what I was doing and why I was doing what I was doing, and I actually got accused of one time up there in Weakley County that I was a celebrity hound. You know what a celebrity hound is? You know what a celebrity hound is?
Yeah.
Somebody that wants to get recognition for whatever that they're a part of. Don't matter if you're an actor, don't matter if you're a lawyer, it don't matter if you're a judge, it don't matter who you are. You want the celebrityness of people to know you, who you are, and what you stand for. That wasn't my motive of me getting out there and stepping out into the eyes of the public. You know why? You know why? Because I have tried to run from this responsibility. I have tried to run from this anointing and tell God, you got the wrong man. You need to go find somebody else, kind of like Aaron that stuttered, or Moses that said, I'm not a good speaker. And how many men of God has been called by God that really didn't want that position in life, but they got called upon it anyway, didn't they? Didn't matter if it was Moses, didn't matter if it was Aaron, didn't matter if Jacob, didn't matter who it was. The Bible says that we do not choose him. He chooses us. He knew our history and our fate before we was ever born. says in the Bible that he's got our days numbered as the hairs on our head. Who would have ever thought, Uncle Bill, that you would have been? Well, you ain't got much hair on your head. But who would have ever thought you'd have made it to 92 years old? You wouldn't have thought that whenever you and Betty May first come down here at Paris Landing and moved down here, would have you?
Well, we got people burning the our flag. If them people hate this country that bad, they'll blow them up and dump them over there somewhere else.
I agree 100%. Now, what do you think about them going to try that kid at 14 years old that done that shooting yesterday? They're going to try him as an adult. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know.
I think they ought to.
Well, the kid is 14 years old. He knows it was wrong.
Sure he does. You'd have to be crazier than a loon to not be accountable for committing an act like that, a heinous act like that.
I mean, they killed 4.
Yeah, and shot up about 10, I think. And out of those 10, you don't never know if they're gonna live or not.
Was it a white kid or a black kid?
I don't know. I ain't seen. I don't think that they've showed him because he's not of age, and because he's not of age, I think that newscasters can get sued if I'm not mistaken until it gets all cleared up with the courts and cleared up with the parents. And that's another thing. If that gun was in that house with the parents, you know good well they're gonna go after the parents, don't you? Matter of fact, they just had a case not too long ago about some kid that shot somebody that the parents went to jail because of. Right there it is on TV right now. Now it's showing the victims, 2 adults and 2 children. Maybe that is him. Yep, that's him. So they've started showing him now, Uncle Bill. That's him. That's the killer. Blonde-headed, long hair. But you know, stuff like this was unheard of back years ago. You're gonna just walk into a school or a sanctuary or a hospital or a nightclub or anywhere like that and just go to unload, just go to killing people. That would have been unheard of. Even no older than what I am at 63, I can remember many a times people would pull up there in Sharon School or Westview School, and they'd either have a shotgun or a high-powered rifle in the back of the cab of their truck, and they'd be sitting on a gun rack where you could see it, and wouldn't nobody never utter a word about it because they know as soon as you left that school, that last bell, you was fixing to head to the woods and you was going to go squirrel hunting or deer hunting or rabbit hunting or whatever kind of hunting. Nobody never questioned you about it. Today, my God, if you used to pull up in a school with your guns being shown like that, unless you had a badge on your vehicle, odds are you're probably going to be questioned about who are you and what are you doing here with these guns. You know it?
Yeah.
You may actually go to jail just for pulling up in the parking lot if they can see the gun. Especially if you ain't got permits for the guns. It's become dangerous. Now the next question is this. Why? Why has it become dangerous? How come how come the people keep continually voting in the same politicians again and again and again, and the politicians in America keep doing such of a crappy job? They're not protecting us. They're not taking care of our bridges and our roads. They're not taking care of our children. It's got to the point now you don't know whenever the little Johnny gets on the bus whether or not little Johnny's going to come home or not. That's awful. That ain't bad. That's reached a whole new level of awful. And every time I see it on TV, I ain't going to lie to you, it's torturous. It terrorizes me. It terrorizes my soul. It terrorizes my spirit. It terrorizes everything about me because you know why? Because I know the ins and the outs towards what should have happened that didn't happen beginning in 1988 whenever 9 tapes wound up going to the White House. And everybody at that point in time started making up all kinds of phony accusations, including coming from my dad, that well, don't pay no attention to him. He's crazier than a Betsy bug. Don't pay no attention to that guy. He's just doing this stuff because he wants to be a celebrity hound. Boy, oh boy, did the people ever misread me. And the only thing that I could do is whenever I would stand up for the ministry and I realized how contrary that everything was getting, the only thing that I could do was kind of play dead. I call it dead man's bluff, and shut up, zip your mouth up, don't say nothing else about the ministry, don't say nothing else about your horses, don't say nothing else about Satan or any of the above, and just shut up until the heat leaves. And then I'd wait 2 or 3 years and I'd stand up again. Well, the heat would come down on me again. Well, then I'd have to shut up, lay down, be quiet. You know, I had to do that several times within that time frame of 30 years, because if I didn't, they would have locked me up indefinitely. If not in a jailhouse, they would have locked me up indefinitely in a crazy house. And that's basically what they wanted to do to me up there in Kentucky whenever I stood in front of that federal judge, because I'd made a remark on a recording on tape that I was going to attempt to take out this individual that I had met in Over Martin, Tennessee, that was darkly complected, him and his 12 disciples, that was basically the same people that masterminded 9/11. Because I had made an alleged threat towards this individual, they wanted to charge me for a Class E felony for premeditated murder, Uncle Bill. Well, if you're a true born-again Christian, aren't you supposed to see the opposite side as the enemy? And why would have God have kicked the enemy out of heaven if he was going to allow for him to get back up in there again? It ain't going to happen. God kicked Lucifer out for a reason. He got too big for his britches. See, the Christians down here right now, they're compromising. Well, that's part of that lukewarm state. Well, what does the Bible say about being lukewarm? It says, I'll spew them out of my mouth. I won't tolerate them because they're lukewarm. God rather you be an actual out and out hobo. He'd rather you be a drunk or a prostitution or somebody out here living on Skid Row bum, not even thinking about the Lord, not even thinking about trying to fulfill the commandments, rather than lead other people by being a bad example, leading them to hell because, you know, you're living a lukewarm state of life, and then other people see your life and they think, well, because he's doing it, now I can do it, you know. And God said that he hates that. He prefers for everybody to be on the hot side. He prefers, because the Bible says that he seeketh that none shall perish. That none shall perish. In other words, God's got favor with everybody, that none should perish, providing that you're willing to accept him and be obedient to the Father through the teachings of Christ. But these people that just want to profess Christ, by Christ being their Savior, but they don't want Christ to be their Lord, I don't know for sure, Uncle Bill, if those people have been saved or not. Do you? I mean, it ain't for me to judge those people, but whenever you see the country that's turned completely, totally upside down the way that it is, you got to start scratching your head and wondering what the heck has happened here. What's going on here? Well, then you got to go back into the Bible and you got to read those 7 churches in the first part of Revelations where he said, repent, go back, and do thy first works over again, or else I will throw thee off into a sick bed. And then it also starts talking to some of the other churches, or else I will throw thee off in the great tribulation. Right now we're in a sick bed, Uncle Bill. We're in a sick bed. Just about everybody and their brother has health problems, including myself, including you. We're just now beginning to start working our way out of COVID. and everybody and their brother has some sort of illnesses. It's been an affliction. We're under an affliction right now. And the next step beyond the affliction is actual tribulation. That's whenever God's going to come back in the eastern sky. He's going to come back in flaming fire, taking vengeance upon them who know not him and upon them who obey not the gospel, according to the Bible. And he's going to resurrect the dead, those who have died before us, that are worthy to be resurrected. And those that are still living, if you're lucky enough that you're worthy, you'll be transfigurated from mortal to immortal in a zap, just like that. And then you'll go on to heaven to be in glory with God, providing that you're worthy. That it's one thing to profess the name of Christ, because the Bible says that even the devil fears and trembles under the name of Jesus. Well, just because you fear and tremble don't mean you're going to go to heaven. There's a certain status that goes along with a Christian. And I'm not saying that I can walk on water, and I'm not saying that I can raise the dead or turn water into wine. But what I am saying is that I'm still striving towards that righteousness, that if I fail today, I pick back up and I try to get it a little closer or a little better tomorrow. If I fail tomorrow, I pick it back up and I try to get a little closer the day after tomorrow. In other words, we grow, we mature in the Lord. And you can't just pick it up and lay it down or throw it away. Because that ain't enduring. You have to endure. And how do you endure? You endure by growth. You endure by maturity. You endure by not giving up and staying in the grassy road, per se, and continuing until the Lord comes back, or until you take your last breath. Whenever you take your last breath, in actuality, that is the end of your world. That is the end of the world. Whenever you take your last breath and you're no longer with us down here on the planet Earth, that is the end of your world down here. You know it? But things have just become awful. I mean, all that shooting and killing, and this guy right here, the president or the prime minister over there in Israel pertaining to the Gaza Strip, my God, they've been fighting over that stuff for how many thousands of years? I know 2,000. They rejected Christ. They're still looking for the Messiah. They still go by the judicial Mosaic law over there. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That right there, what's going on right now, as far as I'm concerned, that guy right there, he needs to retire. He needs to sit down, because he allowed for those 6 hostages or 8 hostages, however many it was. He allowed for those people to die, Uncle Bill, because he did not do his job. He didn't do his job. I think he's hanging on to his power because he knows that as soon as things settle down, they'll probably make that guy walk the plank. Because he never should have allowed for that to have went on for that length of time with Hamas. Because you know good and well, anybody that's digging hundreds and hundreds of miles of tunnels up underneath hospitals and schools and everywhere else, you know good and well that those people had to have known about it. Right up underneath their doorstep. Yeah, they know about it. They know exactly what Hamas was over there doing. And now all of a sudden you're going to plead insanity? Oh, no, I didn't know. No, what he's doing now, he's hanging on to what little bit of power that he's hanging on, a power grabber, because he knows that eventually his people will actually, I go beyond the people just ruling him out. I actually am frightened of the man's life. I really and truly think that his own people will try to assassinate him. And I'm pretty sure he's got protection all the way around him, but those people over there, they're mean-spirited, and it ain't nothing for them to go after the leader and go after the leader's family and possibly go after the leader's cousins and uncles and aunts and everybody else associated with the guy. You know what I'm saying? Those people over there, they handle their affairs differently than we do over here. We don't hold our people accountable over here, but they do over there. And it's been a big a roar since those hostages have been killed. And there's no doubt it's war. There's no doubt. But if he had an opportunity that he could have taken his negotiators and negotiated some sort of a deal, they should have negotiated. They should have got him out of there. I said whenever it first broke out in October, it's almost a year now that this thing's been going on, that the best that humanity can hope for is that those people suffering won't be lengthy. In other words, whatever's going to happen to them, as far as shutting their eyes for the final and last time, pray that their suffering will not be lengthy. Because in situations like, look at all them tunnels right, see all them tunnels right there? What do you do with all that dirt? You got to do something with all that dirt and all that sand. You got to get it out of the hole, so you know good and well somebody had to see them bagging all that stuff up and taking it out of them holes. There was hundreds of miles of that stuff over there like that, living like a bunch of moles. And they build it right up underneath a hospital or a schoolhouse because they know that they can stand under the protection of the women and children. In practicality rules, there really is no rules of war, is it, Uncle Bill? Other than all for one and one for all. What's fair for one is fair for all. Or all is fair in love and war. Have you ever heard that saying before? What's fair in love and war? You ever heard that?
No. What's fair for the goose is for the gander.
Well, I've heard that too, but have you ever heard all is fair in love and war?
Yeah.
In other words, whenever two people get in an argument that's married, basically whatever goes, goes. Regardless of whether they're arguing or they're getting into an actual fist fight. All is fair in love and war. That's where that saying comes from. So in actuality, there really is no set of rules whenever it comes to war, especially whenever we sit on TV and watch Putin, the Russian president over there, continue to bomb. What did he bomb this last time? Was it it wasn't a maternity award. He done that, a hospital. I think this time he bombed a college with a bunch of school kids in it. I think he killed about 45 to 50 and injured about 100. A dormitory where you put a bunch of college kids in there. That's what he bombed. So, in all actuality, what is President Putin? He's nothing any more than Bin Laden. He's a terrorist. And he deserves to be treated as a terrorist. And you don't take a terrorist and put him on national TV and let him gleam and where people can glow and glout over it. He needs to be arrested. There needs to be court. As far as I'm concerned, he needs to be put to death because of all the innocent lives that he's killed over there. This thing has been delayed, and because of it, it has caused more problems than Carter's got liver pills. Just like all our bridges and our roads dilapidating. Just like all the other problems that's arisen just within the past few years. My God. And you're right, Uncle Bill. They shouldn't be burning the American flag on national TV, should they? They should not be burning the American flag, period. Much less putting it on national TV. I mean, yeah, there's a time that you can discard of the American flag, and the proper way of discarding it is burning it. But you don't make a spectacle out of it. You just burn the flag, you go get you another and hang on the pole. We know what they're doing. They're slandering us. They're mocking us. They're making fun of us. We know what they're doing. They're disrespecting us. They're shaming us, Uncle Bill. They're shaming us. And we're letting them do it and get away with it. That's the damnedest thing about it. We're letting them do it and get away with it. And calling it Constitution. Oh, that's their right. If they want to burn the American flag in front of the White House or in front of the courthouse, that's their right. Is it really? Is it really their right? How's things been going with you lately?
Yeah, pretty good.
I'm glad you finally got a word in edgewise. That way you go ahead and eat. That pizza looked pretty good, Uncle Bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got me on this machine, and this is the 9th month. It has taken 9 months of suffering, torturing suffering, of going to a wound center and getting rewrapped twice a week, just for them to analyze the problem and say, oh yeah, it's 2 centimeters better this week than it was last week, or no, it's 2 centimeters worse this week than it was last week. I didn't have the problem before I had the operation. So obviously my body is reacting to the hardware. And I asked the doctor last time I was in there about 6 weeks ago, I go, why don't you just take the hardware out? He said it's too early.
Huh.
Well, why is it too early? It's part of some doctor's protocol that after they get through putting all that hardware in you down there doing a fusure on your ankle down there, it's part of their protocol taking it out. You know why they take it out? Because they don't want a problem to come back and haunt them. It's part of their protocol. Once they do the operation, they wait a certain amount of time and they take it out. Now, whenever he said that it's too early, was he talking about it's too early to getting it done and the insurance paying for it, or was he talking about it's too early as far as your bones not mending yet down on your ankle, where he went in and took all that arthritis out and took all that
stuff you're doing, is it got antibiotics in it?
This?
Yeah.
No, this is just a pure suction, I think. I don't think it's got no medication in it.
Oh.
It's
It's
strictly,
not putting nothing in, it's taking stuff out.
it's taking stuff out.
Well, okay.
No, they've had me on strong antibiotics, 750 milligrams. And the doctor that I originally had over there in Martin, he only issued me a week because I run out from the disease doctor. And I asked him, I said, why ain't you going to prescribe for me no more antibiotics? The disease doctor said I would have to be on these antibiotics for 2 or 3 months. He said, because you only got one kidney, and you've already been on antibiotics twice this year. And he said, if your body becomes immune to the point that if you ever really do need antibiotics, he said, antibiotics won't do you no good.
Did I understand you said you only got one kidney?
Yeah.
How come you got one kidney?
Because it got removed at the age of 2 weeks old in St. Teresa's Hospital in Chicago. You done forgot about all that.
Well, I didn't know that. When you was born, you had it removed in?
Yes.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yes, in 1961, March 1961. They said I wasn't going to live. And it's a good thing I was born up there and not down here, because if I was born down here, I would have died. I would have died because that hospital up north was that much more further advanced than everybody else. St. Teresa's Hospital. It was a Catholic predominant hospital with a bunch of nurses that was basically nuns or associated with the nuns, Catholics. And man, they done some praying over me. 2 weeks old in 1961, operated on an infant. That was almost unheard of. That was almost unheard of. Now today, they can do miracles now with infants.
And what year was you born?
1961.
61, okay.
I was reading, I looked it up on Facebook. Did you know that there has been girls as young as 5 and 6 years old that has got impregnated?
Huh.
and had babies, and the baby growed up and was normal. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I thought the girl had to go through
A period.
start having her period and get her hymen broke and stuff. Well, I'm pretty sure her hymen got broke whenever whatever that she was doing towards getting pregnant.
Hmm.
Because they got a case somewhere up in Middle Tennessee right now of an 11-year-old girl that's been raped, I think by her dad or her stepdad, and they're wanting to abort the child, but the state of Tennessee won't allow it. That's been on the news.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, 11-year-old kid. There's so much going on right now, Uncle Bill. There's no way feasibly possible that we could know the extent of just exactly how bad everything is. It's that much going on.
Well,
Right? And I ain't talking about somewhere in the middle of Kalamazoo somewhere. I'm talking about right here in your own county, probably within 5 miles of this area, of baby rapers and and everything else. People not getting along, getting in fights, drug overdoses, shootings and killings, allowing all these illegals to come over here. We're in trouble, man. We're in big trouble, and I don't even think that my words can express the seriousness of it. I mean, we're letting them come over here. We're letting them come over here like flies. And there's no doubt, I don't have probably nobody coming over here illegally. They want to come and better their lives, because in actuality, America was probably built more so off of the foreigners than it was the people that was originally here.
hmm.
Look at all of them in them trains. Hundreds of thousands of them. You know it?
Yeah.
What do you do about that? You just let them keep coming? And you know good and well what they're going to do. They're going to eventually drain our resources to the point that we're not even going to have enough food to feed ourselves, much less feed thousands and millions of other people like that. You know it?
Yeah, they don't tell you how many criminals is coming in here too.
People that's committed capital offense crimes like murders and rapists and stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's what the Democrats wanted. They allowed it. It's communism.
Right now, I don't know that you could call it communism. Right now, it's more of a Wild Wild West show. Anything goes. The fastest man that draws is the man left standing. Is the man that gets to walk away. And we're kind of like living in an environment here in America right now, to where out of sight, out of mind. If it's not broken, don't fix it. In other words, if you're in a jail cell with 40 men and somebody decides that he's going to beat the heck out of somebody, or they'll kill that guy, literally kill that man, and all the guards come in there, what happened? Oh, I don't know, I didn't see nothing, I was in the shower. Oh, I was asleep. Oh, I was this, I was that. Nobody wants to be the good Samaritan. And whenever you live in an environment like that, Uncle Bill, you're living in a very dangerous environment, you know it?
Yeah.
A very dangerous environment.
TV, does this seem awful black to you?
It does.
It's hurting my eyes, whatever they're doing. 'Cause
Well,
my eyes.
what's
are
them
awful
glasses
sensitive.
you got right there? What are them glasses right there?
This?
Sunglasses?
Sunglasses, yeah.
Prescription sunglasses?
No, this is sunglasses. Well, they give to me when I had that surgery, eye surgery.
Well, how's your eyes doing?
Well, I gotta go to the 11th this month, and they're gonna stick a needle in it again, pump some stuff in it.
The 11th of this month, that's probably next Tuesday or something, ain't it?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the
I got
6th.
fluid in this left eye, and they're trying to dry it up.
I think that's Wednesday. Wednesday It's
Wednesday's
11.
11th, next month, next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you have that done, don't Reba or Lori gotta come up here and get you? And they gotta take you up there and have that
Yeah,
done?
they come get me and carry me uptown.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause if he does that, I can't, I barely can walk.
Yeah, much less drive.
Yeah.
Well, do they think, I mean, what's the prognosis? Is it gonna get better or is it gonna get worse or what?
This eye had the radiation done to it.
Got you.
It's killed some parts of stuff in the eye that it can't produce stuff.
I got you.
And this stuff that this has got a fluid in my eye.
I
It's
got you.
blood's what it is. And if it don't dry it up, it'll cause the eye to go blind.
Oh,
And so I've took 3 treatments of it.
I got you.
But I'm basically gonna go blind in this eye to start with. They said, when I had this surgery done in this eye, that I would probably lose it within a year or a year and a half, and I didn't do it.
And how long's that been?
So it's been about 3 years or better now.
So you got.
They sewed a radiation pack on the back of my eye. They popped this eyeball
Right,
out.
right.
And sewed that radiation on the back of it, stuck it back in my eye, and I had to keep it in there for 7 days. Had a patch over it with a stainless steel thing. It
I
keep
got you.
radiation from
I got
coming
you.
out of
Right,
anybody
right.
else. And then on the 7th day, I had to go back into surgery. They popped my eyeball out, cut the stitches off of the radiation, and put my eyeball back in.
Can they do eye transplants? Can they take somebody else's eye
Yeah,
and put it in somebody else's skull?
Yeah, they do eye transplant.
They can.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta get on the list or what?
I don't know, but I think if you take a transplant, you have to take some kind of medicine the rest of your life, because your body wants to keep rejecting it.
Kinda like this hardware that I got in my leg right now, yeah.
Yeah. The body will keep rejecting it. It won't never, allow it. That's why they don't give you that medicine to make.
It's a foreign substance, it's a foreign object inside the body, and the body keeps saying, hey, this ain't right, this ain't right.
But this eye here is changing it, and it's messing up my eyesight. One day I can see pretty good, and the next day I might not can see so good.
Well, does it matter if you get 4 hours sleep or 14 hours sleep to tell the difference of whether or not you can see
Well,
better or
it's
not?
like if I lose sleep, it affects a lot of it,
Right.
I don't get
If you don't get adequate sleep.
But my eyes are never gonna be the same.
No, they're not gonna never be the same.
When I look to the left and look to the right, I see double, still see double.
I got you.
And this eye, I can see I can see that guy on television. I see him, but I don't know. I don't know who he is. I can't tell him.
But you got one eye closed right now. Your good eye, you got it closed.
Shut off. I can see him. But
Can you read those words?
I can't see his face.
Can you read the words?
I can't see no words.
Oh, you can't see no words?
I can't see no kind of writing.
Okay,
No.
they're big, pretty big words.
I can see light good, and I can see out across there, and I see trees, but they're not real plain.
I
can
got
see
you.
them, and I can see across the road. I see the
In
telephone pole.
other words, it's kind of what, hazy looking like?
It's kind of like looking underwater.
Okay, yeah.
This eye's never gonna be right. It's just gone, and of course this glaucoma that I got don't help.
No.
Because I done lost my overhead side out of this eye. When I look at that television, I cannot see that picture over the television. Over that wall.
Well, I can understand what you're going through because it's kind of torturous, isn't it?
It is.
It is
It's
torturous.
altogether a different life.
Yeah. You would probably be better off, Uncle Bill. I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but you'd probably be better off be like a pirate and put one of them patches over your eyes. That way you could adapt of seeing just out of that one eye, and it wouldn't be so confusing to your brain.
See, this eye here.
Your brain is constantly having to be working and trying to make up for that bad eye, and you got the good eye, and it's constantly moving back and forth, it's tormentive. Very tormentive.
This eye's changing and it's messing this eye up. This eye don't know what to do.
Right. So you'd probably be better off just to put a patch over that eye.
Yeah, well, they didn't recommend that.
Well, they don't know, they had never studied the brain pertaining to what it's doing to the brain.
But-
Because your brain is trying to overreact in what it's seeing in correcting it. But it can't. So it's constantly moving back and forth. You know, the right side of your brain controls the left side of your hand, and the right, and the vice versa. The left side of your brain controls the right side of your hand.
And I got a problem with being dizzy now.
You lose equilibrium, your balance.
Because my eyes is messing me up, it's making me be dizzy.
Right. So eventually, you're going to have to probably get around with a walker or something to keep from stumbling and falling. Whenever you go to falling all the time and hurting yourself,
Yeah.
that's whenever you either have to go and get a walker.
Yeah.
You probably already got a walker.
I'll have to do something if I go to falling.
Yeah. Either that or they'll put you in a home.
But
I'd have me a walker. You can get a good walker now for about $100. Sell them at Walmart.
they sell them at Walmart.
I think so, in the pharmacy.
I didn't know where they sold
Yeah.
them. Oh, they got brakes on them and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you go to stumbling and falling all the time, hurting yourself, that's whenever your daughters are going to kick up and say, you know what, Daddy, it's time for us to do something different.
Well, so far, I'm handling myself pretty good. I have to watch my turning, be careful of my turning.
You talking about
Whenever
whenever you decide to go in a different direction.
Wheel around, I
Yeah.
can't do that.
Well,
I gotta do it
in
real
here
slow.
walking, whenever you decide to go in a different direction, it kind of messes you up, don't it?
Yeah,
I see.
but everything is different now.
I think I'd go.
I'm not sick, I hadn't been sick. I don't know when the last time I've ever been sick.
As far as,
I don't really feel bad.
yeah.
I just got through mowing, mulching leaves and blowing leaves. For 2 days I had a pile of leaves that big as this living room here in my porch. And I burnt them yesterday. Today, I blowed these out here in the back and down yonder in my building and mowed out down there and mulched all them, mulched them down there in
Well,
my
you
building.
know that you shouldn't be on no ladder towards climbing, right?
Do what?
You know not to get on no ladder to go to climbing,
Well, I
right?
do.
Well, you shouldn't.
As long as I got something to hold to, it's okay. But I ain't got nothing to hold to. As long
You
as I've
should.
got
You
something
shouldn't
to
get on
hold
a
to,
ladder.
I'm
You should
okay.
not get on a ladder. Period.
Even if I'm walking, if I'm just touching something.
You shouldn't
my
get on a
balance-
ladder. You shouldn't get on a ladder. Period.
My balance is bad.
How much do you weigh? 170?
No, probably around 155, 60. I hadn't weighed in a long time. The last time I weighed it. was
You're
around
a real good weight right now. I mean, you're as far as your body. That's probably the reason why you're not sick. I mean, you're pretty fit. Physically speaking, you're pretty fit
Yeah,
as far as your body.
yeah.
But you do know that that's part of the aging process. As far as your eyes starting to go bad, your hearing starts going bad,
Yeah.
your different organs start shutting down.
Everything is going to change about it. It's not going to get no better.
It ain't gonna get no better.
It ain't going to do no better. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
going to get worse.
And you just will accept that. But what I'm getting at right now, if it's causing so much problem in your balance, I think I would actually get me a patch and just try it. Try it for one day. Do an exercise. You don't have to tell nobody. You don't have to advertise it. Walk around with that one eye, doing all the work, and I guarantee you, your brain will quit activating back and forth, because now it's saying, well, this eye over here, it's going to shut completely down, and see if that won't help you in your balance.
Yeah.
Now, you'll have to get adapted to only looking out of one eye. And that will probably take 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a little longer. You know, they claim, this is what they claim. Of course, you can't never tell about doctors and the procedures of doctors, but to claim that you have a conscious mind and you have a subconscious mind.
Yeah,
And whenever, like, you have a arm or a leg cut off, that it takes something like 30 to 45 days or something like that before your conscious mind convinces your subconscious mind that you no longer have a leg. In other words, for the next 45 days after you get your leg cut off, you could actually get out of the bed not realizing that you only have one leg and fall on the floor, because your consciousness brain hasn't convinced your subconscious brain that, hey, we're now dealing with something completely totally different.
now they said that leg hurts after they've been cut it off, and it hurts.
I've heard that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's your subconsciousness
Yeah.
working right there. Or you feel it scratching. You want to itch it or something. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
But the brain is a very, very puzzling part of your body, and I'm pretty sure with you having that problem out of one eye and your good eye, I'm pretty sure that your brain is constantly going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, in trying to straighten out the problem, and it can't.
well, this eye ain't never settled down to what it was gonna be yet, it's changing,
It is.
yeah.
In other words, you don't know what kind of resistances that you're going to have from day to day,
Oh.
whether or not it's going to be this way or that way or that way or this way.
It's just changing.
Does it ever go to leaking, having a lot of fluid coming out of, like you're crying?
They don't ever hurt, I don't water,
Okay, guys don't water.
uh,
And you don't have a lazy eye. I can't tell by looking at you that one eyelid is a little higher than the other.
they're about the same,
They're about the same.
yeah.
Now, I had a good friend that just got through having an operation, and by looking at her, it looks like that she's got a lazy eye, and she had the retinal completely fall out or something, and they had to go in, and while they was in there, she had a thing on her eye, she got it removed, and now she don't see nothing but a blur out of that eye. And I asked her, I said, go get a second opinion. Go to another doctor and see what they say. Because they're telling her now that her eyesight ain't gonna get no better out of that one eye that they operated on.
So Jason just had one eye. When he noticed the electric company, about 4 minutes of TV, he cut a guide wire, and the guide wire flew and hit and stuck right in his eye.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, stuck right in his eye. He was at the stand at the truck fixing to get a tool, and he was about 4 minutes of television.
Lord,
And that fella cut that guide wire. When it did, it popped, and it was singing, and popped Jason right in the eye, stuck him right in the eye.
Oh Lord. I mean, that was painful.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very painful, you know?
Yeah, bad. We had to carry him to Memphis, and we had to stay with him in the hospital. We had to keep him on his stomach 2 nights. He couldn't roll over.
But he only had one eye from then on.
Well, he could see out of the eye.
Out of the good eye.
There was a contact on it, but that eye was real flat. And
Did they put a fake eyeball in there to where he wasn't so noticeable?
they put a retina, something to the retina. I don't know what they done.
But by looking at him, could you tell that he had only one good eye?
No, you couldn't tell him.
Okay. So they botched him up to where it wasn't so noticeable.
Yeah,
But he had to readjust towards looking out of that one eye all the time.
yeah.
And it takes a period of time to do that.
Yeah.
That don't get done overnight. I mean, it takes a while to do that. But see, if you was to do that, just see if it would help you pertaining to your balance.
Yeah.
I bet it would. Because your equilibrium, that's supposedly in your brain. That's in between your 2 ears.
I always
And if
said,
that gets thrown off, then the next thing you know, you won't be able to stay balanced.
I always said, if something happened to me, if I was gonna lose one of my hearing or my eyes, I'd rather lose my hearing than my eyes.
One's just as bad as the other.
Because I'd like to see. Hearing is awful important too, real important.
Well, the truth be known, we'd probably all be better off if we didn't hear everything that was going on in the world right now, or see what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why that we have that daggum TV right there, that one-eyed monster that wants to display everything, and that keeps everybody's emotions and stuff. Because every time I see a school shooting or somebody like happened yesterday, it's tormentive to me. It's very tormenting because I know that we could be in a state of betterness rather than the state that we're in right now. And I know why we're in that state that we're in right now is because of the rebellion that happened back beginning 30 some odd years ago. I know why.
But this eye can't, my right eye can't take a whole lot of light.
And that's your good eye.
Yes, my good eye. My left eye's my bad eye.
Well, I hate it for you, Uncle Bill. Because as far as I know, back whenever you was running that body shop and that dealership up there, you could see just as good as anybody, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to get steel in my eye,
Yeah, I've done that before.
and Betty would take a toothpick and pick it out of my eye.
Yeah. Well, I'd go to the eye doctor. That way they would deaden it, and they would what do they call that? Whenever they go in the back of the eye and actually see,
Yeah.
they do something to where man, the light would sure enough be horrible to you for the next 2 or 3 hours.
They
Dilated. They got to dilate your eye. They dilate your eye.
Yeah.
That way they can actually go in there and see if there is any particles in there that need to be removed, any foreign objects, and then they take a little spoon. It looks just like a little spoon. It's so freaking little you can't hardly even tell it. It looks about the size of an ink pen, and they'll go in there and they'll dig that out.
So they had a tool, had a magnet to it. You stick it to your eye, and that magnet would pull that piece of steel out.
Have you ever got welding burn before?
That's what?
Welding burn.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, I have too.
Bad. Several times.
I have too.
Man, they got one time I couldn't even open my eyes up. I had to put ice packs on my eyes.
Feel like gravel in your eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomato potato juice is good.
Yeah. Potatoes help draw it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now they got medicines now that'll do probably 10 times better than a potato.
Yeah, I've done that with electric welder.
Yep. I've been burnt probably
I've burnt mine 2 or 3 times.
Probably 2 or 3 times that way, and I've also got stuff in my eye before, to the point that I had to go to the eye doctor and get it dug out. Every organ that you have is essential with your quality of your life.
Yeah.
And as you start getting older, the quality of your life starts depreciating. And you can tell it, can't you?
Yeah. See, I can't hold out to do stuff as I used to do. A 30-minute job now is a 2-hour job.
Yeah.
Takes me longer to do it.
Yeah, and it takes you a day to get over it, don't it?
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I got to clean the yard and it takes me 2 days or 3 days to get over it.
Yeah.
It stoves me up.
Right.
My knees are bad.
Right.
They're wore out.
Right. Getting up and down on
I'm
that concrete.
wore out all over.
Getting up and down on that concrete.
Yeah.
Laying on that concrete. Working Bondo and jitterbugs and everything else.
See,
Inline
I wore a
sanders.
mask. It's wonderful if I even got any lungs. I never wore a mask.
It's 1,000 wonders you didn't wind up with lung cancer.
I reckon my lungs in good shape.
Did you ever smoke?
Yeah. I
You did?
smoked up to about 35, 38 years old when I quit.
Okay.
I started smoking when I was 11 years old.
11.
Uh-huh.
Probably Pale Males or Camels or something.
Country gentleman, roll around.
Yeah, country gentleman.
Had a few ready rolls, Lucky Strikes, Camels,
Yeah.
and Cools, and Pale Male.
Pale Male. Oh God, ain't them killers. Lord. The pale male and camels will make your fingers turn gold. You know it?
Yeah,
That's got so much tar and nicotine in it.
but I never was a real heavy smoker. I finally got up to maybe I smoked a pack a day.
That's pretty heavy on
Some
some
people smoke 2 or 3 packs a day.
Oh, I know.
Did you ever smoke?
Oh, yes, I sure did. And I usually smoked them Marlboros, and I tried to quit 3 different times before I finally kicked it the last time.
Well, I quit smoking and started chewing, and I didn't have time to spit working. I couldn't have time to spit. I had to
Right.
quit that.
I ain't had a cigarette in my mouth since 2005, so I'm right at the point of being the 20-year anniversary on my smoking. But you know, they claim that a smoker, that after you quit, it takes something like 10 years
Yeah,
before your
get out of
lungs
your
finally
system.
clear up.
Yeah.
Because your lungs basically is just as thin as a piece of paper almost. You know it? Your lungs is very, very thin.
Yeah.
And you are fortunate that you breathed all the isocyanates in that paint and Bondo dust and primer dust and
I
everything.
breathed it all. I never wore a mask or nothing.
Did you ever spray that primer that was green, that you put it on older model vehicles to keep it from oxidizing?
Yeah, that's yeah.
I wound up getting paint poison. My tongue turned black in my freaking tongue.
Yeah.
Have you ever had your tongue turn black?
Uh-uh.
That's paint poison.
Well, I never got poison or pain. I used to have to run a thinner rag up my nose to clean it out. I could match my nose tuck and stay stuck.
Yeah.
That old enamel, we used to spray.
I never forgot the name of that primer that's green like that. Is it etching primer?
Well, they got etching.
It's got zinc in it or something. That basically whenever you spray it, it's harder than you know what towards getting it off of there.
We got where we would just use vinegar to etch your stuff.
Really?
Yeah. You use vinegar on aluminum to paint aluminum.
You know they claim whenever you're washing clothes, if you take just about two caps of vinegar and pour it in your clothes, it'll help to purify your clothes. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wonder what vinegar does. Is vinegar a purifier, kind of like bleach? What is vinegar? What's vinegar made out of?
I don't know. I used to when I was a kid, I drank it.
Vinegar's made from pickles, right?
It's made for pickles.
It's made for pickles. Is it made
Yeah.
from pickles?
That's what you put in a pickle to
To
keep
pickle them, but
Well,
I
we're
don't
in the
really
same.
know what it's made out of. Do you?
I don't know what it's made out of.
I don't either. I'm pretty sure it's probably got 4 or 5 different chemicals in it, or 4 or 5 different substances in it to make it.
WD-40. You know what it's made out of?
What?
They take it out of a tree.
Really? A tree?
That's what I've been told. I don't know if that's true or not.
Look at our U.S. national debt: 35 trillion, 288 billion, 436 million, 900 and something thousand $1,000,000. Look at that.
That's what our debt is, ain't it?
Yeah, the debt. And it's steadily climbing. It's like a calculator.
You know what's going to happen to all this? don't
It's a
you?
timer. It's a timer, and it's going backwards.
This is going to change one day. I probably won't never live to see it, but we'll go to world money. That's the only way you can get out of all this. Never will be able to pay that debt off. And here we are giving billions of dollars in other countries.
I know, Uncle Bill, it's
That's
bad.
stupid.
While we was sitting here, it's done already went up probably $250,000 because it's moving that other hand over there.
The U.S.
That's in that 7th line.
How much money is that back there?
That's 35 trillion. 288,433,000,000 That 1,433,000,000.
read.
That's already done changed. That millions is already done. Now it's changed again. Now it changed again. So we're basically going in debt $1 million about every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Or every minute. About every minute we're going in debt. $1 million. That's a million mark. That's that seventh figure. $1 million every minute we're going in hole. Now, how can we be a self-sustainable country if we continue on this road that we're
We can't
on?
go. It's just gonna come to an end one day or another. Got to. Everything's got an end.
There's a cycle. And we never did go through that paramount shift that we should have went through in 1988, because as of right now, we shouldn't even be here. The true Christians should have already been taken away. We never did go through that paramount shift. They only done part of the shift. They talked about peace, white man speaking with a forked tongue, but in reality, they wasn't practicing peace.
Yeah.
Because if you'll remember, what happened with old man Bush? Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I think because of Desert Storm and Desert Shield is what got the American people in trouble, that basically provoked somebody over there and attacking us.
These politicians is what got us in trouble.
Yes.
They took money. We used to have gobs of money, Social Security, and they got in there and dabbled it and got it out, and it's broke.
Yes, they've taken it out of the treasury.
They politicianed this country to death. They lied. They get up and running for office, and they tell all kind of lies, and when they got in there, they didn't do nothing.
And now it's to the point that it's unrepairable.
Yeah.
That means anybody that gets in there basically is already screwed before you get in there. And you can promise whatever you want to promise, but we know in actuality, it don't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, can't nobody fix it. It's unfixable.
Yeah.
It's broken. The system's broken. And once the system is broken, there ain't no other way of repairing it other than to replace it. Now that leads to another question. Once we replace it, is the new system going to be better than the old system? Or is people still going to be able to work under the table with all this drug money and all the prostitute money and giving money, paying illegals half the amount of money that they should be, and they're out here working in the fields and stuff for half the amount of money? Are we going to go right back into the same old after we change the system?
I don't know what we're gonna do.
Is the system going to be more bulletproof? Because I guarantee you can take an anvil and tear it up if you want to. You know it? You can beat on it long enough till you beat an anvil to death.
Yeah.
You can take anything that's supposed to be foolproof and turn it into something that ain't foolproof. These computers, you know, our government was told 20 years ago, whenever the internet first come out, that this was going to affect young, undeveloped minds. Well, now you don't even have to have the internet towards being at home anymore. Now you can just walk around with it in your hand. And it is affecting people's minds. It is causing people, Uncle Bill, to basically...
That thing right there started out running the world.
The TV?
The computer is winding it up.
The TV?
Yep, the TV started out running the world. It started out.
Well, before TV, it was radio. Before TV...
Now the computer...
Before TV, it was... what did they call that? Whenever they would tap to one town to another?
To one?
Tap to one town to another. They'd communicate.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, before that, you know how they communicated?
Yeah.
Smokestacks. Indians.
Yeah.
So they got this ideal from the name.
Telegram. Was it telegram?
Telegram, yeah. Sent out a telegram. So they got this idea originally from the red man.
Yeah.
Just like medicine, big pharma. Where do you think that started? That started with the medicine man, taking a little herb over here, mixing it with this herb over here, take this tree sap over here, mixing it with this potato juice over here. See, we didn't even know what penicillin was until what? After World War One?
Yeah.
Huh? Did you know that our military soldiers during the Civil War? Did you know that our military soldiers during the Civil War did not have nothing to deaden the pain?
Mm.
Nothing other than whiskey.
Yeah.
Whiskey was all they had.
Yeah, I know it.
And penicillin didn't exist during the Civil War. It didn't come out till about, I think, the 1920s or something like that.
I remember when it come out.
You know how they discovered it? A loaf of bread.
Well,
It'll start molding.
mold, an awful mold, yeah.
Uh-huh. That's how they discovered penicillin.
Yeah.
And that's what them doctors over there in Martin was telling me. They said, Dennis, if you continue to stay on these antibiotics, you done been on antibiotics twice this year. If you continue to stay on antibiotics, one day if you really have to be on antibiotics, they probably won't work because your body will become immune to them.
Yeah. But it looks to me like if your body will become immune to that, it ought to get immune to some kind of disease that you get.
Towards curing itself?
Yeah. Just like a cold. Looks like if you get a cold,
Well, your body is one of the biggest healers of all. Because you got the white corpuscle cells and you got the red corpuscle cells. But as you get older, you don't generate the same amount of cells, and the next thing you know, you become unbalanced, and whenever you do, it throws everything out of haywire. It throws everything out of haywire.
eye is the fastest healing thing on your body. Eye is.
It's supposed to be, but you can reach a point to where not even that will no longer heal itself.
And your tongue, you can cut it and it never leaves a scar.
I didn't know that.
No, it won't never leave a scar.
I didn't know that. So it's got healing qualities that the rest of the body don't have then.
Uh-huh. They don't let, no.
In other words,
never leave a scar.
the tongue is almost like a reptilian that you can cut the tail off and regrow the tail back.
Yeah.
Or cut a leg off and regrow the leg back. They claim that we don't actually use but about 7% of our brain.
Probably.
The rest of it's just jello up there. They said if we could use all of our brain, we would have the capacity of cutting off our arm and regrowing it back.
Hmm.
Is what they claim. I don't know how true that is. But back in the Egyptian days, going all the way back like 6,000 years ago, they was practicing on the brain because we have found skulls, Uncle Bill, with round holes like that big, where they went in and cut a hole out in that brain, in that top of that head, to go in there and do something with that brain. So they was working on the brain,
Yeah.
even 7,000 years ago. And now we're finding out that there was Homo sapiens on the planet with feet, toes, arms and legs and bodies the same as we have today. They're finding out that during the dinosaur era, going back like 60,000 years ago, that there was humans on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because they're finding artifacts. Like there'll be a dinosaur buried right here, and then they'll find a human of a footprint, like kind of like pottery, and they have figured out that it had to have been a human that made this footprint.
You know, it's the signs. You know what the signs are, don't you? Sometimes you can dig a hole in the ground. If the signs is not right, you won't have enough dirt to fill that hole back up.
That's correct.
And sometimes you got too much dirt to fill that
That's
hole.
correct. You know why?
And that's the same way about growing stuff. We used to plant a garden
Off the
a
almanac.
long time ago.
Off the
We never
almanac.
planted unless the signs was right.
Okay.
But you don't do that. People don't do that no more.
You're talking about the 12
sign.
the 12 months. The
The
12
signs.
months, yeah.
It's in your body.
The zodiac.
Yeah,
The
you get
zodiac.
signs in your knees and your, and your eyes and your feet.
Well, there are certain times you could cut hogs, cut the testicles out of hogs and then almost bleed to death, and there's other times you cut the testicles out of a hog and it almost didn't bleed at all. And all that's got to do with is the pressure from the galaxy and the moon. I kind of picture the moon itself as a tail on a kite, and a tail on a kite.
Yeah.
And if something was to ever happen to the moon, I think the planet Earth would either drift further away from the sun or drift closer to the sun.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have the alignment like we do now if something was to ever happen to the moon.
When I lived with Aunt Lily and Uncle Kim, see, I lived with them for a pretty good while and helped them farm. They would not plant that garden until the signs got right.
They live by the automatic, yeah.
They live by the signs.
But what I'm wanting to say is this: because we have messed with the ecosystem on this planet, you can't really go by the signs any longer, because the science is liable to give out an indication and to be completely wrong. I'll just put it this way: they predicted back in March or April that it was going to be a unusual year with hurricanes. They said it would be something like 8 or 10 hurricanes that would develop, and 3 or 4 of them would hit the United States. That would be like Category 2 or Category 3 hurricanes. Yeah. And they missed that mark completely. So they don't know what they're doing. It's a guessing game. And you know what? If you really think about it, doctors and weather people stand on the same plateau. You know why? Because a meteorologist gets paid $80,000 a year, and half the time he may get the weather right, and the other half the time he may not. Well, it's the same way with a doctor. A doctor can operate on you, and he ain't going to guarantee you that you're going to get well. He ain't going to give you a written guarantee, but yet now, if I was to do a job, a plumbing job, or an auto body job, toward you wrecking your vehicle, I got to guarantee my work. You had to guarantee your work, but how come a doctor and a meteorologist don't? You know why? Because it's a guessing game.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they say that they're practicing medicine. Well, you know who they're practicing it on? Us. We're the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
There is no guarantee if they operate on you how the end time results are going to be.
They give the weather no more. They don't know what's going on. The old blabbermouth that I listened to, the weather, he give it rain for 2 or 3 days this week, and we didn't get a drop.
I know. It's become unusual, and I truly believe, Uncle Bill, that it's got something to do with the ground and underneath the ground, pertaining to that big ball of fire in the center of the ground. Because in reality,
do you believe in global warming?
Because in reality, listen to me. In reality, if the sun was doing that, it would get to the point that we wouldn't be able to go outside without getting 3rd and 4th degree sunburns. The sun is not warming the planet up. The planet is being warmed up from the.
We're cutting all the trees and stuff. Is what's killing is the warmth of the trees.
Exactly.
Is the coolness.
Exactly. It's throwing everything out of kilter. Plus every gizmo and gadget. I mean, you take a moving part.
The trees and grass produce oxygen.
It does. But you take a moving part, a man-made part, you know what that creates? Friction. You know what friction creates? Heat. And it don't matter if it's transmission, don't matter if it's a motor, it don't matter if it's a robot moving back and forth. Once you start creating friction, you're creating heat.
See that come up, the science that comes up with this global warming and stuff. The only thing they get all that stuff to get this big government money off this stuff.
No, that ain't right, Uncle Bill, because I know that you can remember back years ago whenever the ponds around here in the wintertime would freeze to the point you could put a vehicle on. But we ain't seen ponds around here freeze like that for probably 20, 25 years. Our seasons is changing, and it's getting warmer. It's getting warmer. We're seeing stuff today that we never seen before. And as the planet's getting hotter, it's causing the water table to rise.
We're not getting no.
Yes, it is on the coastlines.
No.
Yeah, New York City and Miami, they're all the time getting flooded.
Listen, when I was a kid, we had 100 and 105 when I was a kid.
But it's
The
melted.
sun produces the heat.
The sun does produce the heat. But where the heat's coming from is the center of the ground. We got a ball of fire underneath there that's 10,000 degrees.
Back when I was a kid, we had 100 to 105. We didn't have no air conditioning, no fans, or no nothing, but we made it. Now, people die if they didn't have air conditioning or a fan.
Well, you know
They
what?
die.
You know what the biggest cause of that is over here? We've become adapted to the air conditioner. The air conditioner has made us weak.
Yeah.
The air conditioner has made us to the point that we can't tolerate the heat no more.
Yeah.
But think about this also. All the asphalt, all the concrete buildings. I know you've noticed this before. After the sun goes down, it's supposed to cool off, right? Well, you go out here in a Walmart parking lot somewhere, or some of these other big parking lots, and it ain't cooled off. It's holding heat, maybe 3, 4,
Well,
5,
same way
maybe
it
6,
gets
8
cold.
degrees.
So it holds cold the same as it does heat.
It does. It does. But the heat is the part that's killing us.
We had awful hot weather when I was a kid. I sat in the classroom, schoolroom, sweat running off my arm. Well, I couldn't even write on my paper. The sweat would run on the paper.
What they're saying, Uncle Bill, which I don't doubt it a bit, the summers have gotten longer. And we actually are getting about 3 weeks of summer type conditions in the spring and late in the fall. It's taking that much longer, about 3 weeks, before we actually start seeing frost. The summers has gotten longer. Instead of it being 3.5 months or 4 months,
We
now
had
it's like
pretty
5, 6
cold
months.
weather through March and April and May.
We'll have a blast of it coming out of the north, coming out of the Siberian cold front up there. And the reason why is because everything is so unstable now. It's basically imbalanced to the degree that whenever we do get a cold front, my God, it's liable to freeze freaking all of freaking Texas down there, and then get 10 below zero and freeze every freaking line around there and
When I
cause
was a kid,
trillions of dollars of damage.
we went barefooted in March. It was warm weather in March. February was breaking ground.
Well, you can say whatever you want to say, but the planet is warming up because I haven't seen around in this area ponds, not lakes, not moving water, but ponds, freeze hard enough to where you could get on them probably since about the early 80s. About the early 80s was the last time that I remember that it got cold enough. And at the time I was living over there at Kenton, working for Leroy Neal, living in a little old trailer, had a pot belly stove used for wood. Of course, it was like a RV trailer. And man, it shot down. I think the highs for like 3 days was like 6 degrees. And then at night, it would go back down to like 10, 12, 11 below. That was a heck of a cold front that come down that basically froze everything. And if I'm not mistaken, we either had snow on the ground or we had ice on the ground because it was treacherous. That was either in 1981 or 1982 here in Northwest Tennessee. And that's the last big cold front that I can remember of it actually giving the results of winter. But now I can go before 1981 or 1982, and they can prove this on the map. The meteorologists can prove this.
Last winter, we got pretty cold.
Everything
we had
changed.
zero up here last winter.
It did, but it only stayed that way for 2 or 3 days. To where if you put your thinking cap on, back in the dead winter, back in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, my God, it freeze long about November and then stay froze till about March. Yes, that was the winter. We was having 4 seasons. That's what I'm saying. They're saying that part of the season in the spring has been taken completely out of the equation now because we basically go from winter to summer. We may have a couple weeks there to play with, but then in the fall, we don't have no longer in the fall where the leaves are turning colors and everybody can play in the leaves and stuff. No, it'll just go from one extreme to another, and that's what we're seeing again and again, one extreme to another. And all these big floods, all these radical weather changes, all these deluges is coming down. I mean, it rains hard up in Minnesota, and we've seen Texas get flooded many times, but it rains
Well,
hard in
that's what the
Minnesota. It
Bible
blowed out a
says.
whole dam over
The
there.
Bible says there'll be floods in the last days, so we'll get more rain to get floods.
Well, why did God tell us to flee into the mountains? Have you ever figured that one out?
So what?
Why did the Bible say to flee into the mountains? Jesus, in the words of bread, says flee into the mountains. Why did he tell us to flee into the mountains? You think maybe it had to do with the weather becoming extreme? You think maybe it had something to do with the oceans, with them rising?
But we're getting more rain than what we used to get. I mean, we get floods, rain. It rained hard up here one time you couldn't even see across that road right there. The
I got operated.
bottom fell out.
I got operated on, give or take, about 7 weeks ago. In that time period that I went to the hospital, it rained every day. My yard went from this to that. I actually had to hire, well, he wouldn't take no money. He was my cousin. But I had to get somebody to come out there and help me cut my lawn. Because
You what?
I had to get somebody to come out and help them cut my lawn because I was in the hospital for 5 days.
Yeah.
And I couldn't just jump out of the hospital and immediately start working. So I was in a clinker.
Uh-huh. Who's your cousin?
Dwayne Davis.
Who?
Dwayne Davis.
Dwayne Davis. I don't know him.
His daddy
Who is it?
His daddy was in a construction accident up north, and he had 64,000 volts of electricity that went through him that burnt both his arms off from about his elbows down. He lost both arms.
Wow.
And he had hooks. They called him Captain Hook.
Yeah.
You've probably seen him a time or two over in Kenton.
Is it around Kenton?
Yeah.
Davis's?
Yeah, hop inside on you, yeah. They're my cousins.
I don't remember them.
Yeah, because my grandmother, on my daddy's side, she was a Davis before she married a Jackson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the Davises and the Jacksons are pretty well kin, hand in hand.
I know them, David.
But of course we was also kin to the Simmonses, and we was also kin to the Ridgeways, and we was also kin to about
The Ridgeways, I heard the Ridgeways, but now,
we was probably kin to about 10 different people down there in the Sidonia community.
I never heard of the Davids.
Because they marry, they intermarries, and back and forth. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The females start out with this
Well,
name, and
whatever
then,
happened to old Dan Simmons and all that bunch?
Lord God, he's been dead for 30 years.
Has he?
Lord, yes. Danny D's still living.
Was all the Goff people dead? Roman Goff, Jerry Goff?
I don't know. No, I can't validate that, but I know Danny D's still living. The boy that stuttered so real bad. The boy that they had that was adopted, he's still living.
Sonny Goff.
I don't-
He's got a daughter.
The
She
name,
was in Martin.
the names click a bell, but I don't remember the face behind the name. But the names do click a bell.
The Owenses, J.B. Owens.
They was right up there with Grandma. With your mother, in outside of Kenton over by Texas Gas.
Is all the Neils dead?
No, Terry.
Is Leroy, Bobby and Leroy, they still had
Yeah,
kids, didn't
they're dead. Yeah.
they? How many kids did Leroy have?
I think he had just 3. He
What
had
about Bobby?
Terry, Faye, and Kay. I don't know about Bobby. I don't know how many kids he had. Now you do know that Leroy had a sister, right?
So what?
You do know that Leroy had a sister.
Yeah, Virginia. Yeah.
And you know that she took on a position in Kenton, Tennessee, don't you?
Do what now?
She took on a position in Kenton, Tennessee.
Yeah. She was something in the city worker or something.
Mayor. She was the town mayor.
Yeah. Okay.
And whenever she died, listen to this story. There was a Church of God church right outside of Kenton, like going to Trumbull, on the left-hand side. Nice church. That's where they had the body laid out. And I'd done already asked Miss Sheila, which was the black sheriff at that time in that town. She's retired now. I said, Sheila, do you think it'd be all right if I went up there and went to the wake? Because she was a public figure, and a public figure is supposed to be open for the public.
Yeah.
She said, Juby, I don't think there'd be a problem in it as long as you go up there and mind yourself and don't say nothing to nobody. She said, I don't see no problem in it. So I go up there and I sign a little affidavit, and rather than getting in the line, I sat in behind Terry and his wife Donna for probably about 30-45 minutes waiting for the line to diminish. That way, once I got over there, I didn't have to stand and move up and then stand and then move up and stand and move up. Take you freaking 20 minutes just to get down there to the bottom where the casket is. I didn't want to go through all that, so I waited until the line pretty well diminished. And whenever I got over to the wall to go down there and view her body, I had about 6 or 8 freaking big old boys come and present to me with guns. Showed me their guns and told me, you're gonna go. You're leaving. You're not going down there to visit.
Well, who was them boys that told you that?
One of them was her husband.
Huh.
He's dead now. He's dead now.
He was
He was a not a Davis, but a.
What was it? What was it? I remember him.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Well, he got about 6 or 8 of them over there that basically cut me off at the chase before I got about halfway down, because that floor is in a embankment on the floor until you get down there to the bottom, and they basically cut me off at the chase. They said, you ain't going down there. Said, you're leaving. We're not asking. They said, we're not asking, we're telling you. And of course, by that time, one of them done already took his shirt and moved it where I could see his gun, and another one I could see his gun stuck off in his belt. And Miss Sheila was standing over there watching all of it. I said, Miss Sheila, you see this, right? This isn't right. You just need to go on, Chubby. You just need to go and do what they tell you to do. Just go on, get on out of here.
Who was she now?
She was the sheriff. She was the chief of police in that town. She had a husband that was the chief of police in Newburgh. Both of them was chief of police.
Okay.
He died, and then about a year or two later, she wound up retiring. I think she's still living there in Kenton, but I'm just telling you, there's a lot of resentment in Kenton, Tennessee over me that began with Damian Cross in 1983 whenever I went down there and Don Curry decided he was going to make me do a breathalyzing test, thinking I'd been drinking, and I hadn't drunken a drop.
Who?
Don Curry, he was a cop at one time over in Kenton. And basically Damian Cross had a town hall meeting that night with my parents and I don't know, probably 4, 5, 6 officials and 2 or 3 cops and and myself and Don Curry and another guy, Paul LaPointe, that had a patch over his eye. I think he wound up losing an eye in the Vietnam War. But anyways, that night they decided that you're going to go to Bolivar, Juby, because we think something's wrong with you. And if you don't go voluntarily, we're going to force you to go involuntarily. Well, after a car just got through rolling over on top of me and I lost 8 units of blood, I didn't really feel like I had a choice. Because my dad had attacked me the night before and tried to finish me off even though I had 64 staples up and down my belly. My problems began in Kenton, Tennessee in 1983 because that's whenever they branded me towards saying, well, this guy here, there's something wrong with him. He's got loose screw or he don't have all his marbles. And the person that they should have put in listen to me.
Who was Don Curry?
He was a cop. The person that they should have put in the institution towards having him evaluated should have been James Robert Jackson, that everybody called Bob, my dad, because he was entirely too violent and abusive with his family, and he couldn't control his anger management issues, and he basically abused us. Even your sister, she walked around with bruises, which would be my mother. He was brutal.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he was brutal. Bob was brutal. He was not only brutal verbally, but he was brutal physically.
See, I worked with Bob for at Trenton Motor Company for
He
a
was a
while.
completely different person then. You know whenever he changed? Whenever we moved from Chicago and moved down to Tennessee in 1967, 2 years after that his dad died. 1969, Kelmer died.
Do what now?
1969 is when Kelmer died, which would be his dad.
Yeah.
From then on, he changed.
Huh.
He went from a Dr. Jekyll to a Mr. Hyde, and he had split personalities to the point that he would fly off the handle and try to kill you, and then 10 minutes later, oh, come on, let's go down here at the local store down here, I'll buy you a soda pop and a Coke drink. He had a really, really good side about him, but he also had a really, really bad side about him.
Well, what did he die? When he died, what did he die with?
He done already had 2 heart bypasses.
Oh, okay.
And basically what killed him was a construction accident. Really, he was on a mower out there at the house, and I don't know what the heck he was doing with a chain tied to that tree. He had a steel tree that he used to pull motors and stuff out of vehicles. And whenever he took off on the mower, the thing was hooked on the back of the mower, and he didn't know it, and it grabbed those beams, and it turned him over on top of him, hit him right in here, and almost broke his whole shoulder, and could have broke his neck, because that stuff was heavy.
Yeah.
Big, heavy. And ever since then, he never did recuperate from it. His health started deteriorating from then on. Started going downhill. They had him in the Veterans Hospital over at Humboldt. Humboldt Veterans Hospital is a real nice hospital. I've been over there before.
Okay.
But yeah, he never did recuperate from that injury.
Well, him and Charles both, they all run off and left me.
Well, I can't validate that one way or the other. You keep saying that. What'd you do to them? Make them run them all off?
I don't know. They struck on. They went to California. I don't know how long they stayed out there.
They was adventurous. They was adventurous at that time. And believe it or not, I tend to wonder if something didn't happen to my mother on the way out to California. Somewhere on Route 66, somewhere over there at what do they call that thing over there in New Mexico? Where all those UFOs are?
Oh, okay. Can't think of it. I know what you're talking about.
But basically, she got impregnated somewhere in between Chicago and going out to California. And then she wound up coming back to Tennessee, and that's where she had Danny, and then she had Douglas in Tennessee, and then they wound up moving up to Chicago.
Were you the firstborn?
No, I was the third.
Third born.
Whenever they moved up to Chicago, I was born in Chicago.
Danny was the first.
Huh?
Was Danny the first?
Danny was the first.
Okay.
Danny, Douglas, Dennis, and David. All 4 D's, and we all come about 4 years apart.
Yeah.
We was brothers.
Yeah.
The 2 oldest brothers had red hair, and the 2 youngest brothers had black hair. But me and David was born up north, and Douglas and Danny was born over in Union City.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's where Dad was born. And I guess Mom was too, I guess.
I don't know.
Or maybe she may have been born in a house, I don't know. Dad probably born in a house too.
I was born, I think I just, some woman come to the house and they'd see you get born or something, you know. Cause they had a name for what they were.
Yeah, the midwives. Call them midwives, where they go in. And you know, my great grandmother that was married to my great grandfather that owned a business over there in Sidonia. That was a pillar of the community. She worked almost all her life being a mid-mother, going around delivering babies.
I never did know my daddy's mother and daddy. I never did know them.
You told me that. You never hear nobody say nothing about them?
Little bitty thing.
You never heard nobody say whether or not they was painters, or whether or not they was farmers, or whether or not they was alcoholics, or whether or not they was bullheaded, or whether or not they was mean-spirited? You never hear nothing about them?
Nothing.
Almost like they didn't exist?
Never heard none. My daddy and my mom either one never spoke of none of the people.
I wonder why.
I don't know. The only one I can remember being old is they called her Granny. That's Granny. Said she lived to be.
That was your adopted mother. That was your stepmother.
That was my granny.
That was your
She
stepmother.
raised my mama.
Right. That was her.
Yeah.
But your mother's mother died whenever she was what? Just an infant, right?
Yes, she's just a baby, I think.
So you never did know her parents.
Didn't know her.
You never did know her parents at all, did you?
I know her daddy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I knew her daddy.
Jesse? No, Jesse was her husband.
Yeah, the dad, Paul James. He was Paul James was his name.
Paul James.
Paul. We call him Paul James. I remember him.
Now, where's he buried at?
Huh?
Where's he buried at?
No idea.
Is he buried Sunnyside?
I don't know. I was just a kid. I was probably 7, 8 years old when he died.
So he was already done settling down and
He
getting ready.
he drank a lot.
Did he?
Best I remember, yeah. He had a bad drinking problem. And of course, Tot, that was Daddy's brother, he drank. Tot, he worked at the Swiss ice cream plant at Fulton. He'd been working there a little while, and he told them people that he needed a raise. And they told him, says, Tot, said, we'll think about this, and we'll let you know in a day or two. So Tot come into work one morning, they called Tot in there and said, Tot, said, we thought this over, said, we're gonna give you a 1.5 cent raise. Said, we don't want you to say nothing to nobody about this. Don't tell nobody. They said, Tot studied a little while. He said, you need to worry. He said, I'm as damn ashamed of it as y'all are.
Of course, a penny back then.
Raise.
A penny back then was probably adequate to $1.
Well, I could take a nickel and buy. I couldn't eat all the candy I could buy with a nickel.
Right. A nickel would probably buy you a cold drink, a bag of M&Ms, and a cold drink, and a candy bar, and probably even something else.
You could buy a Coca-Cola for a nickel, and they went up to 6 cents. And I said, I'm gonna quit drinking them. Well, they went from 6 cents to a dime. Then I said I was gonna quit drinking them. And I never did quit drinking them. But I don't drink Coca-Colas or nothing.
Did you know that I drank Mountain Dew whenever I was a kid all my life?
You drank what?
I was hooked on Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Yahoo Mountain Dew. I didn't know that it was.
I
I didn't know that the original origin come from Tennessee. That Mountain Dew was made in Tennessee. Did you know that?
I don't drink.
Oh,
no,
you did know
no
that?
kind of drinks no more.
You did know that Mountain Dew was made in Tennessee?
Yeah, I knew something was made in Tennessee. Didn't know what it was. I don't drink no kind of drinks no more. I quit. I ain't drank no drinks in 4 or 5 years.
When's the last time you had a shot of whiskey?
I ain't never had I ain't had no whiskey.
How about beer?
I drank milk, water.
How about
and
beer?
tomato juice.
When's the last time you had a drink of beer?
I don't remember.
How about wine?
I don't like wine. I said, Reverend got some wine about 2 or 3 years ago and gave me a little of it, and I couldn't drink it. I don't like it.
It's kind of nasty tasting, isn't it?
I've never drank no wine that I liked.
Me neither. Well, there was some California wine that I drank out there in California with Donald Dale. I kind of like that wine, but it was clear
I don't
wine.
drink them with water and milk.
It was yellow looking wine. It was great.
Tomato juice is good for your heart and your eyes.
Yeah. I know that. It's also good for your blood too. The red wine is good for your blood.
Well, a lot of wine's good for you, but I ain't never drank none I like.
But you're telling me that his name was again? His name again was Todd?
Who? Tot?
Tot?
Tot, yeah. That was Daddy's brother. Daddy.
I knew he was a James.
Huh?
I knew he was a James because her dad was a James. We come from the James gang. We was kids of the James gang.
He was a Jordan. Tot was a Jordan. That was Daddy's brother. My daddy's brother. Hey, my daddy had 4 or 5 brothers. Jake, Ansel, Tot, and
your dad was Jesse.
Jesse Jordan. He was a Jordan.
Okay. Your mother
was a James.
Your mother was a James.
Right.
Who was her dad? What was her dad's name?
Paul James.
Paul James. Paul James come from The Jesse James gang.
Well, I don't know where he come from.
Just like E.W. James. E.W. James, we was kin to E.W. James.
Yeah.
Grandma'd go up there in Union City and
They
they'd
still
talk.
got stores, A.W. James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they'd get up there and talk for probably 2 or 3 hours about different things. And supposedly Grandma had some more people up in Kentucky lived up there. And I think Patsy, that was married to Charles, I think she still got a sister that lives in Humboldt.
She died.
She did.
Yeah, her name was, well, she married a Kaufman. See, she first married a Johnson. And they didn't get along.
Well, somebody that was kin to her had a sister that was married to the mortuary guy there in Sharon.
Married to who?
The guy that cremated and done bodies up. He worked in the mortuary.
Undertaker?
Huh?
The Undertaker?
Undertaker. His wife was Patsy's sister or Patsy's something.
I'm trying to think Patsy's sister's name. I can't think of it. Sally. Sally was her name.
Is that the one that lived in Humboldt?
That's the one that lived in Humboldt. She
Well-
married a Kaufman.
Well, what was the one that lived in Sharon?
She didn't have one living in Sharon.
Maybe that was Betty Mae's sister.
Betty's sister.
Betty's sister.
Yeah,
Your
sure.
wife's sister.
Yeah, she had 2 sisters in Sharon.
What was her name?
Well, she's got Faye and Robbie and well,
What was her last names?
Huey.
Huey?
Robbie was a Huey. Faye was a
What was your wife's name before you married her?
Wright.
She was a Wright?
She's a Wright.
A Mac Wright? Or just a Wright?
Wright. W-I-R-I-T.
Right. Okay.
She was a Wright.
See, I never did know no Wrights in Sharon that I know
Well, I can't think of the other sister. She had 3 sisters.
of. Well, they're all dead now, ain't they?
No, Faye's still living. She's 93-year-old.
And she was
She
the...
lives in Martin.
Okay. And what about the guy that wound up moving from Sharon that left everybody high and dry pertaining to the funeral home over there? You think that she's still living? I'm pretty sure he ain't living.
Who had the
He was
funeral home in Trent? I can't-
Sharon.
Sharon?
The one that was married to Betty Mae's sister. Your wife's sister.
Yeah, I'm trying to call his name. Gerald Freeman.
Right, he wound up leaving. He wound up going back up north somewhere.
Yeah, he went to live with his sister. He's in Alabama now.
He is.
He's 2 years older than me.
I'm surprised he's still living because, man, he was...
Sue was her sister's name.
Okay.
Sue. She had 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
How do you still keep up with them? They call you from time to time or something?
Faye calls me.
Does she?
Faye, and then the Gerald, every now and then Gerald, he calls.
Well, listen, I gotta go because I got a bunch of traveling I have to do tomorrow. I gotta go to Franklin, Tennessee. Have you ever been to Franklin, Tennessee?
I have you going to Franklin today?
In the morning.
What are you going to Franklin for?
To go see the disease doctor
Oh, okay.
about my leg.
You gonna drive up there then?
Yeah.
That ain't too far from here. Not from here, might be from your place.
Well, my place would probably be just easy for me. Just drive up, hit Highway 40 and shoot from Jackson all the way up to Nashville. But basically, it's in Nashville.
40, you mean I-40?
Yeah, I-40.
Yeah.
The only thing gonna save me is that.
You just go down to Jackson and you hit 40 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Franklin, I've been through, it's been years since I've been
Franklin
through.
is a military Civil War town.
Yeah.
That's where I bought my truck, brand new, 2005 Toyota Tundra.
Yeah.
I bought it at Franklin. I like Franklin. I like Franklin a whole lot better than I like Nashville.
Oh, I like Nashville, but I do Memphis. I don't like Memphis at all.
Oh, I don't either.
Well, I ain't hate to go to
I
Memphis.
don't either. I despise that.
Memphis is, that's
It's bad.
That town.
Yeah, but I got about a 3-hour drive in the morning to get to Franklin, to the doctor. Like I said,
What time you gotta be there?
it was at 9:25, but they called and moved it up an hour because I requested if they could to move it up an hour to help me out a little bit.
Yeah, I'd make you get up not so early to go in.
Right, wanted to get up at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. But anyways, this disease doctor is far and few between. And he was the one that seen me after the doctor got through cleaning me out and prescribed for me to be on those heavy antibiotics, 750 milligrams. And I'm just gonna go tell him, hey, according to this doctor over here at Martin, he told me because I'd already been on antibiotics twice this year and I only had one kidney, that they was gonna treat me this way with this pump rather than treat me with antibiotics, because they was afraid that this antibiotic was gonna actually create more of a problem than it was solving a problem. And you know what? I tend to wonder if they was right, because after me going to the Womb Center today and seeing the size of the hole hadn't changed. The depth, the tunneling, all that is all measuring about the same. So those antibiotics hadn't done nothing for me. Nothing.
Do you feel pretty good, or you don't feel
Yeah, I
good?
feel pretty good.
Okay.
But those antibiotics, with them being so powerful, would cause your hamstrings to bust.
Do you sleep with that thing on?
I'm gonna have to put it in the bed. That stays connected. I'm married to this thing for the next however long it takes for me to heal up.
Wow.
Yep. I don't like it hanging around my neck, but at least they've made it portable. Now you ain't got something in the house where you house ridden.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be the only way to treat you was